Special treat for me today. A friend of mine for the last couple of years, David Cook from Oregon. What exact part of Oregon?
Yeah, so I'm out of Eugene, actually a small town called Pleasant Hill. It's about 20 minutes from Eugene. Eugene's a pretty big place. You got all kinds of sports there, from the Oregon Ducks all the way to the Beavers. Pretty open, broad area. Love the market.
Yeah, so I met you, last year or year before.
Yeah, I'd say 2 years ago.
The older we get, I have a hard time gauging time.
Yeah.
So I met you in this market, and you owned a company up here, and then ended up moving down there.
Correct.
And it's been really so cool to watch your story. If you guys watch him on social media, but it's like the all-American story, and not to be corny. Got married, bought a house. You bought that house, right? Or are you?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Getting ready to buy a house. Just went down there, restructured, got a business down there. Beautiful equipment, good truck, good quality stuff down there.
I am. I'm having a baby on August 31st. Yeah.
And it's a boy. So it's everything. He's just hunting and fishing, and it's just impressive, and young, very young. And I've always thought this about you, and said this: if anybody was asleep on somebody by judging them by the cover or whatever, would lose out if they didn't go with somebody by the age of the owner of the company or whatever like that, because the way he mobilizes and the way he's with his guys, the quality was second to none. I've got to work with him, kind of an outside consultant level with the company down here, and but we remain friends, since you've been down to Oregon. So coming up as a special treat for me, but I'm just been just super impressed.
Yeah.
By that. And I'm curious, what can you tell us about? Because I don't know much about Eugene. I'd go down to Oregon, Portland.
Yeah.
Hang out, right, and did some business down there, business conferences, different things, but I don't know a lot about the Oregon market. Seems it's very similar, but different.
Yeah, so it gets really different. So the Eugene market is different from the Portland market, when that's about a 2-hour drive, different markets. The Portland market is more like a Washington market. You got a lot of roofers in there. It's very highly competitive. You got higher ticket sales in there. You're looking at about 18 to 25,000 on an average ticket sale in the Portland area, which is almost the same as Washington market. Down here in Oregon, you're looking at about $10,000 to $15,000 ticket purchase for a roof, and there's a lot of pros and cons to each market. It's very highly competitive here in Washington, which makes it a little struggle because everyone can just get their license a lot easier. They don't have to take no testing or anything.
Up here?
Yeah, up here in Washington.
Which I dislike.
Yeah, no kidding.
Being an experienced contractor, I dislike that.
Right, yeah. It pushes the quality away from the people who are actually driven to give the homeowners quality. And down there in Oregon, it's a competitive market, but you don't get a lot of tire kickers that are just I want 5 bids. Up in Washington, homeowner, they're usually wanting 7, 8 bids when you get there. And it's okay, why am I coming out if you already got that many bids? But it's Oregon, you're still in that 2 to 3 you're in that 2 to 3 range for bids. But the cool thing about it is it's not really tire kickers. It's actually professionals. We're all delivering the quality. You have to take precise testing and stuff to get your CCB license down there. A lot of courses. OSHA is a lot more stricter down there, so you can't just free roll as a contractor and take money from homeowners, which is a big thing because I see up here in Washington a lot of contractors that have not even been in the game very long, and they just get a license and then they're screwing over a homeowner for $30,000, and it's just disgusting what they're doing. And but anyways, that's pretty much the big differences. They're both eco-friendly, nothing too different on the customer interactions other than there's more tech people up here, and they're Oregon people are more budget friendly, just because, I mean, the pay scale is different from Washington and Oregon by quite a bit. So you get lower, that's why you get those lower ticket sales for roofing. But we can still install quality materials down there with those low ticket sales.
You know, you said a lot of stuff right there. My mind was racing and stuff that could help my homeowners out and contractors too. But I mean, you mentioned getting like 4 or 5 bids in our market, you know, because of the easy entry for anybody to get a contractor's license. You notice I didn't say a contractor to get licensed. People just get contractor's license and they get another one in their wife's name and all these things, and it sucks. And because from far away, like a Mercedes 5 Series looks just like a Ford Taurus, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference. And then you pull it up, and homeowners and people, we do our best to research, and getting too much information doesn't help you do that.
No.
What it does is it invites a lot of sales, right? I don't mean that I mean that in the way that most people think I mean that in, like used car salesmen, like if you can look good and, you know, feel good and get somebody to kind of hop that edge, right? That's what I don't like about this market. It's too much room for the BS, I guess. The things that guys like us don't like the real contractors that like this is our craft. Like we're a doctor, lawyer, like this is our vocation. We chose this for our life. And I'm proud to be who I am and what I do and carry on the quality and it sucks that we get put in that stack up here.
Yeah.
So I kind of mop it up what you're spilling the environment down. Even if it's a lower ticket sale, there's pros and cons. You're dealing with professionals. You're dealing with people that like the industry verticals. Other guys, they have had to pass the same. There's probably more respect.
Yeah.
Like up here, there's like lots of roofing companies. There's like this, I don't know, whatever, and like a rivalry. But I can only imagine like collegiate athletes or, you know, people that have gone through a certain level. There's a mutual respect, more so.
Yeah.
And yeah, what a dynamic. That's interesting to learn about. I mean, there's a way to create more of that trust, you know, up here. You know, that's what we really try to do with, I don't want to say this ain't to boast my company, but when we think about like a brand like Nike or Coca-Cola or even Mercedes, right? They're more expensive. It's the first thing we think of, but people will pay more as long as they have more money for name brand because of reliable product and delivery, right?
Yeah.
And they're okay with paying more for like this shirt's Lululemon, right? And I would never thought I'd pay that much for a shirt until you buy a couple of them, and then you feel weird putting on a $30 shirt, right?
Yeah.
You just feels different, and then I don't mind overpaying for that product. I just wish there was a way, because you've got the best of both worlds. Well, the environment, right? You know, you're giving people a good value, you run a good business, and there's a lot of ethics and a lot of integrity. You know, it feels like it's right. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're completely right by far.
Yeah, where people don't have to overpay.
Yeah.
Well, like here, that's also what sucks is like the salesman or the BS creeps into the high retail where people overpaying might still not be getting a good deal.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, another issue I see a lot happening right now in the roofing industry is like a lot of people, they want to offer these warranties and stuff, and it's cool. I mean, warranties, they're legit. Most of them are. But I see is like a lot of these homeowners are getting these warranties, but their warranty is dissolved right when that new roofer touches them. Like, because a roofer, they're going to be like, oh, we got to install these 3 accessories to give you that warranty. And half the time, a lot of these roofers, what I've noticed is they're not adding those 3 accessories that verify that warranty. The homeowner will never know that because a lot of homeowners don't know about roofing. So I see a lot of big name companies that are cutting corners and saying they're the best, and it's mind blowing that they get away with it. But I think there needs to be a system to educate the homeowners and be more aware of what's going on. And that's why I got this app called Company Cam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about it is I can update the homeowners on it, keep them through the project, show them any decking issues or anything like that, making sure we're not cutting any corners and they're getting the best quality service they can get. And I think it's honestly breaks your heart seeing these homeowners just get carried away. I don't know.
They get affected negatively. We could how do you say it nicely? They get kind of railroaded.
Yeah, and they don't even know it.
They don't even know it. And far away, that brand new Ford Taurus that you paid the Mercedes price for.
Yeah.
Is or even the Mercedes price, but it's got the 3-banger engine, from the Taurus in there.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on because roofing is like that. I come upon some of these roofs and it's a 30-year brand new roof and it's got a 5-year neoprene boot from Home Depot. Yeah. Where it leaks. Right, where your roof bed leaks. You got all the new shingles and they're saving $8, $10 per boot. And that's sad. Yeah. It's just a lot. And it's so common. I can go through my inspections for this week and show you, 8, 10 cheap components on these roofing systems. And it just breaks my heart. People, how do you educate all those things? All the little idiosyncrasies of our business that it takes years to just know and learn. And in a sit down, and a homeowner doesn't want to sit down sometimes 20 minutes, go over the estimate. Yeah. They literally want you to email the estimates. That's why we don't do it. Yeah. Like an investor, a flipper who doesn't care, right? That's just going to get the house on the market, get off and get away with whatever they can get away with, but the homeowners, they want to just email it. But you can't do it that way. The only way you can do is, go through the estimate in person, take time, both you and your spouse, like you and your significant other, your wife is going to catch things that you're not going to see. Right. And then talk with your spouse. And then also too, your gut, like your instincts are is your strongest thing out of everything. So Malcolm Gladwell talks about thin slicing in the book Blink, where we have these instincts of gut decision because it's based on trust. Because all you can do is trust the doctor that he's not going to kill you. And that when you go into the night, when you go into anesthesia, you just got to trust that this guy's not going to malpractice and kill you. He's going to put in the right components. Right, yeah. Can you imagine a doctor putting in the wrong, all these contractors throwing this stuff in, so that's and your gut will tell you that. If you trust it, right? Not your neighbor, not the news, not the pretty ad, right? Right, yeah. I would say that's the best thing. Okay, let me ask you this.
I would say, let me ask you this. What's the best tips for a homeowner on selecting a contractor?
With the amount of time they have.
Yeah, with the amount of time they have.
You're getting 3 bids. I think it's wise to get 3 bids. But ask yourself, what are you looking for in those bids? Right? Are you looking to find the right roofer? People are looking at price. And people really look at 3 things: warranty, price, and color. Yeah. And that's not, we start with who, and then what, and then even why, right? And I would suggest that, you want the person to tell you the truth because, people will say, my budget is this. You don't know, right? The budget's changing. It changed yesterday. All material prices went up. Tariffs hit today. And you tell me what the budget is. You're the homeowner. You don't have any idea what it costs to put an engine in your car when it goes out. Right. You walk into a mechanic and be like, my budget's $5,000, right? He's like, well, that engine block alone is $12,000, whatever it is, right? And that's reality. But you got to trust. Hopefully you got a mechanic you can trust. Roofers got to be the same way. Yeah. Anything's got to be the same way. It's got to be built on trust. Yeah. And that's
one key thing I want to say is trusting the guy who's going in there and looking at your roof. But if a real roofer is going to go up in the attic and check it out and make sure you don't get hit with hidden charges. So that's another thing I've noticed so much about is all these roofers, they're just in it for the money. And it's sad because it puts us high quality roofers that are not in it for the money down low with them because we're just all considered roofers. And if they're not going in your attic and checking out the decking or the ventilation or making sure your 4-inch pipes are hooked up to your flapper vents, if they're not doing that, that's a red flag right off the bat. And I always let my homeowners know that if they're not going in your attic, it's a red flag. I would not use them and have a certified that's actually going in there and getting the training. The cool thing about a lot of these companies, I'm sure Roy's done it too, is the legit companies are going to take all these training classes that actually have the intelligence of helping you on your roofing system. Like GAF, ICO, all these manufacturers, they have classes for ventilation, torch down, proper decking, the whole 9 yards. And I think taking those classes as roofers is very important and helps the homeowner out a lot and educating them.
God, that's huge. Every component.
Yeah.
Understanding every component. But that was real, that made me want to like almost create a checklist, what can we like put out a video, how to trust a roofer, like going in the attic. They'll be like, I had 5 roofers, you're the only one that went in the attic.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind. And then they'll ask why, because the other guy didn't want to go to the attic.
Yeah.
I'll be like, the reason is if there's wet spots, I'm gonna see where the leak is. I can estimate how many sheets of CDX you're gonna need, judging from the bottom. And I can tell you the truth right up front, rather than you looking at the price, color, and warranty, that it's gonna be cheaper to go to the other guy because he didn't include any plywood.
Yeah.
But I go up and I see wet spots all over the place, and there's bugs and there's mold and all these things. We're like, here, look, this is the data. These are the photos. Here's the moisture meter. Poke the moisture meter in there and get a reading. And then that's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? That's the truth up front. And that's huge. I
Yeah.
wouldn't hire a roofer.
Yeah, I was like, just 2 weeks ago, I went on this estimate. The roof was 5 years old, had a leak. I went up on top of the roof, checked it out. Everything was installed to the standards and everything. So I went in the attic, and it was just a small drip coming down their bathroom. So I go up in the attic, and I look, and their 4-inch pipe wasn't hooked up to their flapper vent. And so all that condensation from the bathroom steam coming out was building up and just slowly leaking through their drywall. That's why it's important to make sure those little things are taken care of. It doesn't matter.
Was it cracked and the flapper vents? Was it plastic and cracked?
No, so it was a metal vent, but they didn't have the 4-inch pipe hooked up to it. It was just sitting on the insulation, just blowing condensation all over the attic. And I'm glad they called me and I got up in the attic, because like any other roofer, they were like, oh, it's some here or some here. It's in the valley, a whole different area, because they didn't get up in the attic. And so the cool thing about doing that is catching it fast and not having to do a whole redeck assessment on it, because over 5 years of that home waiting right there, all that inside would have been black mold and just leaking like a sieve.
Insulation would have been pulled out. Redo that.
Drywall, everything.
Redo your gypsum. Your drywall's got to be replaced because it's been soaked. Yeah. Yeah, and it's more data, right? You want to collect all the data, right? Like you're collecting bid and you think you're getting information.
Yeah.
If none of them went in the roof, you don't have the full story.
No.
You can get the full story from, and we actually do an inspection. We actually do an inspection outside of our estimate. And a lot of people pay for that service. They go right on, they click, and they pay someone to come out and do the service. And we don't need to sell you a roof. We get paid to do the inspection. And it's non-biased. It is what it is. You can hire wherever you want. And then we do have estimates, of course. We have the highest rating and services and all those things, but get the information, get the data. Like my guys I teach when they go in to meet with a client, our job is not to sell anybody, especially the people we're not supposed to work with. Like, if there's something that's not jiving and they don't like us or some kind of reason, for some reason, everybody's not supposed to work with me. Everybody's not supposed to work with you for some reason, right? In the universe, people attract people like they like, right? But our job is to educate and give information, and then that's it. Like, and help some kind of way. And then I'd be happier with it if I got a good review out of a visit and not get the job, because I wasn't supposed to get the job if I didn't get the job. And I think this might be for roofers. This might help roofers. If you got your marketing running and you got your leads going and you're doing 3 or 4 appointments a day usually, or at least enough per week, does it matter if you don't close that lady or that person, right? Right? You're not meant to do it. You don't have to hard close them, because it doesn't change. What is really different about me going to this appointment, this guy getting a roof from me, or the next one, If I'm running my business correctly, and then I'm capturing the people I'm supposed to capture, my business is scaling healthy the way it's supposed to, it doesn't matter if this one person. People get this idea like, I've got to close this deal, and they get crazy. And I wish people could remove that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the industry that is in it for the wrong reason. It's a lot of people are in it for just the money.
Like the boiler room.
Yeah.
Like these sales movies, it's literally like that. They go into these rooms, they pump them all up, and their job is to close these deals, and they call, hammer, follow up, and it's like...
It's like, how do you go home at night and sleep with that going through your mind that you sold them a roof and they didn't even need it?
Yeah.
And it's like, if their roof needs it in 4 or 5 years, I'm going to tell them it can wait 4 or 5 years. Give me a call when it starts leaking, or 4 or 5 years for another inspection. I'm not going to sell you a roof if you don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I think of guys like you and even me, like, all I have is who I am, my reality. I don't have like these scripts, and I don't have this years of training. I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't have anything. I just got me.
Yeah.
And if I can't look you in the eye and say, yeah, you needed a roof, here are the finance, here's the payments, here's whatever. Or I go, no, you can get away with waiting.
Yeah.
I had a gal, and I haven't even told anybody this story. In fact, but I'm training a new gal as a project manager from another company who's been shadowing us for the last couple of days. And she actually put out some content on social media. We went to a gal's house, and they don't have the money. And the owner of that house is 73. He's has dementia. The daughter made sure he wasn't at the house when we got there because he's having an anxiety attack. He thought he could smell something in the attic. He built a dadu many years ago, and it's leaking really bad. It's in the Beacon Hill area. And the gal was like, look, I'm here to get room, I'm here to get estimates. And we're there, and the tarp had blown off. Like, some neighbors had tarped it, and there was like this metal ridge cap over the dadu that was, that had blown off. And I could repair it all. I had all my tools. I could take care of it all right now. And then she's like, well, if there's a way you can work out a way to get retarped, because they'll do anything. They did not have the money for a roof. It's a 3-tab. It was probably 60 years old, but it laid flat. It was still adhered, right? And I'm walking her through, showing her how these 3-tabs are incredible, some of these things, how they stay adhered and glued down.
Yeah.
And the architectural will come up in like 5 years, like it starts flapping in the wind, but it's like, and I'm telling her all these things. She's like, yeah, but isn't it this? I said, look, I'm giving you excuses to not change your roof. You don't have, you have the money to change your roof, you should. But you can get away without changing the roof. It's not recommended, but they really have no choice.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm going to dry you in today, right? I'm going to make sure nothing is leaking today. And that's it. Like, I'm not following up. If there was a repair beyond what I did the full repair while I was there. I could do an inspection. I go up onto the roof. I got my tools, and I start bolting everything in and redoing this ridge cap thing. And the lady's crying on the ground, not because she's happy, she's scared I'm going to come down and charge her. right? Then
Yeah.
I'm going to flip the script on it. So we're in Seattle, central Seattle area, well, Beacon Hill. And my trainee said, while you were up there, she's crying, thinking that you're going to come down like strong armor in a way that like, oh yeah, it's just a few $100. Like, you could have asked this lady for these people for $100. It would affect them. And like sometimes when you don't have a lot of money, like everything becomes anxiety. Like, oh my God. And when you have money, it's just a problem. It's like, it sucks. You got to pay money and get it done.
Yeah.
But you got to think about like when your car starts making a noise, you literally get a lump in your throat. I've been broke.
Yeah. It's like putting your feet in their shoes, seeing where they're at on things. Because I had that similar situation happen just like I'd say about 2 months ago. We got a pretty bad rainstorm. And this guy had some shingles fall off of probably about 4 or 5. And his roof's about 15 years old, so it's almost getting about that time. But he can't afford to even get a repair on it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to put myself in your shoes. I've definitely been there before. I wasn't born rich, so I don't mind helping you out. And so I went up there, I had some shingles at the yard, and I went up there and fixed it. But I felt good about myself, and I know 5 years from now, he's going to be calling me to get his roof replaced. And so it's all about building connections, too, at the same time and not chasing the cash flow.
And even if you don't, I mean, the reciprocity, nothing could be more valuable than that. Like,
Yeah.
we go to the next deal and we'll sell that one and whatever. But, like, nothing is worth anything until you give it away, including money.
Right.
Like, it's worth nothing until you spend it, right? That's why I don't get the ideology of, like, hoarding or, like, or because if you hold on to money, through inflation, it's just going to go down anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's not worth anything. But, like, he could have paid whatever you did was probably worth $500, the repair, trip charge.
Yeah, it would have been like a $600-700 repair,
which would have made no difference to your business whatsoever. But that what you did right here, that is worth. It's like people pay money for drugs.
Priceless.
It's priceless, right? To feel that, and to be that, and hopefully that becomes contagious, and like more people do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get back on this topic about the Oregon and Washington market.
Okay.
So the one thing I see more in Washington is more of an insurance game now. It's definitely gotten a lot more popularity compared to retail. Down in Oregon, we don't have too much insurance just because we don't get super strong winds and rain like Washington does. Washington, little less lucky than us, I would say, but they get a lot more rain than us. I will say that. But the insurance game is it's nice to be in, I would say. It's because it's easy. Anyways, but yeah, I started down in Oregon, but I'm starting another company up here in Washington again. I'll cover the Seattle and Tacoma market, competing with my buddy Rory Knight over here. But I don't even care if we have a relationship. We're both friends. We're roofers. If I do a bid against him, I'm not going to get all irritated or anything. I'm in a business to grow, not whine. So yeah,
I'll commend. Like, they tell me who they're, I'm like, oh, he's good.
Yeah.
And if they're like, go ahead and check out this. And I'll like lead them a certain way, like,
right.
Like, go ahead, just look at that, read that, about it. But then I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but
yeah,
I'll definitely. If anybody got a bid from Peak Pros, I'm like, that's solid company. Let me show you the interview. I'll show them this interview right here. He's a good friend of mine, But so people can find you right now. So you had mentioned on the way up here, you'll combine a lot of the information. So like people can look up Peak Pros right now. Google, right? And also Facebook.
Yeah, you can look up on Google, Instagram, Facebook. Most recently, you'll see us popping around on some TV ads, which will be pretty cool. You'll get a little more familiar with us, but we're pretty easy to find. You just look up Peak Pros. We pop up at the top of the list most of the time. So,
like Apple TV, Tulu.
Yeah.
Some of the local stations.
Yeah, we'll be on Fox, Apple TV, Hulu, Tubu, YouTube TV, which is a big one. So you'll be seeing our face quite a bit more often.
Yeah. And you're in good hands. If you give these guys a call, I mean, you've won the lotto.
I appreciate it.
That's fact. So I think we've done it. I think we scored a touchdown. You got anything else?
No, I don't.
Well, anyway, this is David Cook, Peak Pros, and look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Sweet. Have a good one, guys.